guys, SPD64 here, and today we're going to be talking about something that everyone in the Sonic community loves: opinions. But not just any opinions, oh no, we're going to be delving into the dirty and unpopular opinions that are just floating around inside of my brain that has everything to do with Sonic the Hedgehog. And even though this should be obvious, I'll state right now that it's perfectly fine if you don't agree with me. To be honest, I'm not expecting many people to agree with me here, but I just honestly need to make some Sonic content again, and this is what sprung to mind, so let's go! Yay! Opinion 1. Fist bump isn't that bad. Starting with a relatively recent opinion, I never really understood the hatred that Fist Bump got. Sonic Forces as a game in general, yeah, I can understand, but the main theme song honestly got way more hate than I think it deserved. If Sega didn't release the instrumental of the song significantly before the vocal version, I personally feel like there wouldn't have been as much backlash and negative feedback. Are the lyrics cheesy? Oh yeah, but come on, we've had cheesier. Have you listened to We Can? And speaking of which, that leads me to my next opinion. Opinion 2, I hate We Can. To me, Sonic Heroes had a great concept, and the theme songs for the teams were a very nice way to give us an insight into the dynamics between each of the characters. Follow Me is a cute bubbly song about Amy's feelings towards Sonic, and this time not including shaving cats. Like, what was that about? Team Chaotix is a nice rock piece that kind of gives a sort of Saturday morning cartoon theme vibe, at least to me. And This Machine? We Can, however, I'm sorry, but it's way too cheesy for me, even for a Sonic the Hedgehog song. It isn't that memorable, and it's just a shame when I adore all the other team theme songs, but I really don't like this one. And the main team as well. It's just such a shame. I've seen so many people say how good this song is, and I just could never see why. I'm sorry, but it's just the cheese. Opinion 3, I think the GameCube graphics for Sonic Adventure are better than the Dreamcast graphics. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the Dreamcast graphics. In fact, I think they make the characters look very nice and cute and give them the chunky cheeks, but I personally think that there was nothing really that wrong with the GameCube graphics. Well, maybe beside the shiny character models that made them look like they took a Vaseline shower, but besides that, I really liked how the character models looked. Even the levels looked better. Most of the time. Again, I don't hate the Dreamcast graphics, but if I had to choose between the two, then GameCube just wins for me. Opinion 4, Shadow's characterization was the best in Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06. Again, pretty relevant since there was a discussion going on not too long ago within the community about Shadow's character and how he's written within the games and comics. And as much hate as both Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 get, I, honest to God, think that the writing for Shadow was the best in these two games. Sonic Adventure 2 introduced us to Shadow and Rouge, and gave us a pretty in-depth Sonic character, someone who was trying to gain back his memories, who was also introduced first as a villain. Shadow wasn't like Eggman, who wanted to destroy the planet just to earn some money from his own theme park or whatever it was. Shadow was purely looking for revenge for what happened on the arc 50 years prior to the events of SA2, whilst also trying to remember pieces of his past that were missing, such as Murray's actual dying words being how he should probably give people a chance and not try to blow them up with a giant space gun. Sonic Heroes then introduced the Shadow androids, and the idea that maybe the Shadow we've been playing as in this game isn't actually the real Shadow from SA2, but is in fact a robot, making us as the player question more about his origins and leaving the doors open for more character development. Shadow the Hedgehog, however, really delved into this with the Black Arms, the return of the Shadow androids, and showed us Shadow dealing with finding himself even after the events of SA2. Now, I wasn't a fan of the branching story paths, especially considering that none of them really mattered in the end, with the final story having Shadow save the planet anyway, but I was a fan of how we got just a bit more insight into the arc, the different experiments like the Chaos Monsters, how Shadow is basically the child of Professor Gerald and Black Doom, and Shadow as a character basically decided to say fuck it and not worry about his past anymore, and to carry on with life with the new people he's been able to surround himself with. Sonic 06 did something really interesting by briefly showing the repercussions of Shadow's actions in SA2 when he was a villain who tried to destroy the world. Team Dark learns that due to the humans blaming Shadow for the Iblis attack, they send Omega to hunt him down and seal him away. When Mephiles tries to convince Shadow to join him, Shadow easily declines and tells him to get stuffed, which was something that he wouldn't have done when first introduced in SA2, he just would have gone along with it. Then Team Dark actually find out that Omega is the one that seals Shadow away, and this line said by Rouge is really important to note. Just have a listen and pay attention to Shadow's body language and the way that Rouge says this line.
It's so unfair. Shadow's always here to defend the world. Despite that,
this right here to me is a great example of how the events of SA2 still affected Shadow even potentially years later, depending on how long Sonic 06 was from SA2, but we don't know that. The way he looks away in regret after Rouge states how he's always been around to keep the world safe, even when both of them know his true intentions were the very opposite. And Rouge replying with "despite that," as she knows firsthand how he used to be before he realised his mistakes. Small details like this I loved seeing in this game, and the kind of details that honestly you would never really see in the newer games. It's not too obvious in what it's referencing, but it's also something that long-term fans are able to pick up on. I mean, it might not be a reference to SA2, or that's just the way I took it. You're free to take this line however you want. This is just personally how I saw this line. This conflict gets resolved when Shadow tells Mephiles that even if humanity decides to go against him, he won't give up and will fight like he always has. This is such big character development for Shadow given how against humans he was initially, and I'm sorry guys, but I'm such a nerd for stuff like this. And as meh as both of the games were, Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 both provide some really good characterization for Shadow, in my opinion anyway. Also, I like both games. Whoa! Opinion 5. The treasure hunting stages aren't that bad. I'm the kind of gamer that really likes exploration. I adore finding stuff and exploring around levels. That's why I love the hub worlds in Sonic Adventure and especially Unleashed, so it's no surprise to me that I actually enjoy playing the treasure hunting levels, especially in SA2. Could it be down to my Rouge bias since she's my favourite Sonic character? Maybe, but I also enjoyed the Knuckles stages too. I don't know, there was just something about them that were fun. The music for each stage really got me into the levels. It was fun seeing the different locations and inhabitants, and having to use my memory when using the floating TV screens for help to try and figure out where each emerald shard was. I even went back to them a few times to attempt a speedrun for some of the levels, and yeah, I even enjoyed Mad Space. Opinion 6, Sonic Colors is meh. So many people have sung this game's praises, I'm sorry but I just never saw the appeal. It's alright, but not that spectacular. It has repeated cutscenes, just in different areas which are really weird. The controls aren't that fun to use, and the story itself was just kinda Though I will say that the Eggman PSAs that play throughout certain levels always get a laugh out of me, I love those.
Please feel free to leave all valuables in your vehicle during your stay here at Eggman's incredible interstellar amusement park, as they will be perfectly safe. In no way will roaming bands of robots break into your vehicle. Would the owner of a white hover car shaped like an egg please report to the front desk? Your car has been broken into. Repeat, would the owner of a white hover car shaped like an egg please report to the front desk? Your car has been broken in... Wait a minute, what the heck? Would Sonic the Hedgehog please report to the security office? Sonic the Hedgehog, please report to the security office. We found your keys. Yes, that's it. We found your keys. No need to be ready for a trap, since we only want to return your keys. Attention guests. If there is anyone here who has experience with aerospace technology, specifically upper orbit theme park gravitational control systems, please report to the main office immediately. Thank you. What are you waiting for? Climb aboard the exotic aquarium for a boatload of... who writes this dribble? You do, boss. Oh, you're right, I do! I'm hilarious!
Opinion 7, Roger Craig Smith is the best Sonic voice. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, I said it. I love Roger Craig Smith as Sonic. To me, he brings out the cocky side of the character and overall does a great job at reading lines that he's been given. I mean, come on, the guy played Ezio Auditore and Chris Redfield for God's sake. I feel like too many people blame him and the other current VAs for lines and how those lines are delivered, when honestly they're not entirely in charge of that. That would be down to the voice director and writers. I'm pretty sure if the VAs had it their way, they would redo a bunch of the lines to make it sound much more emotive and maybe even change the lines themselves. In fact, Roger did just that in Sonic Colors, as stated in this podcast from 2011. Take a listen.
But there wasn't necessarily any sort of any sort of like influence on my part about where I think this should go, other than like stuff that happens within the session, where every now and then something will occur, or there'll be a particular line, and I'll work with the director and say, hey, I think we would want to say this a little different. He'd kind of throw this. A good example in Sonic Colors with the Wisps. When it came time for Sonic to try to speak to the Wisps when Tails was working on the little translator, I was laughing with the director because I said, hey, how like Americans, when they meet somebody who doesn't speak English, seem to think that if they just talk louder and slower...
Talk louder and slower, I know exactly what you mean.
So we originally recorded the lines of just, like, who are you and what are, where are your people, or what, what is going on? And I said, wouldn't it be funny if we just had him, do the very typical, like, okay, who are you and what is going on with your people? Like, very deliberate sort of ignorant approach to things.
Roger literally took a line that the voice directors and writers originally had planned to be said in a much less emotive tone and made it more emotive and a bit comedic. To me, that's really cool. And even despite all the hate he's gotten from people within the community, he enjoys the character and takes part in the community events and is very chill with why some Sonic fans react the way they do to him. Plus, I personally really like that his Sonic voice is different from the previous VAs. It makes him stand out way more. Oh, not to anger more people, but I might as well say this, I also think that Ryan Drummond is overrated. Don't get me wrong, he seems like a really awesome guy, and if I ever had the pleasure of meeting him, I'd be really nervous and trying to act cool, because he overall seems like a cool guy. I just feel like his performances as Sonic weren't as good as people make them out to be. I'm really sorry. Opinion 8. I really like the Werehog. This one I never understood the hate for. I mean, I do, because it was just kind of out of nowhere, but I honest to God love the Werehog. The concept is awesome, the gameplay, whilst can be a bit slow, I still found myself enjoying. I don't know, there isn't much to say on this one, except that I really like the Werehog. Opinion 9. I don't like player choices in the Sonic games. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is unpopular, but I decided to add it in anyway. Games like Sonic Unleashed, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic Chronicles are the main titles that come to mind when I think of player choices in Sonic. For those who know me, I love choice-based games. Telltale Games is probably my favorite video game company. I'm sorry, Sega. I just love the genre. It's fun to see consequences and different dialogues and relationships that you can build with other characters. The genre for Sonic, however, no. Listen, the canon is way too confusing enough without the element of player-based choices being added in. I just don't think it suits Sonic. It's a series that I personally prefer to have a story where the player doesn't influence it, so that way characters don't suddenly change or act out of character, and weird ships begin to form for no reason other than fan service. Bonus opinion, I Am is my favorite Crush 40 song. Is it edgy? Of course it is. Do I still love it? Yeah! And finally, opinion 10, I prefer story over gameplay. Whenever I hear people talk about which Sonic game is the best or which Sonic game they like or dislike, they always mainly talk about the gameplay. And for me, I've never been able to relate. To me, I judge the game based on the story. Yes, of course the gameplay matters too, and if a game has a good story but meh gameplay, then I'm gonna judge it a bit more harshly. However, I mainly focus on the story in Sonic games, which I know a lot of people actually don't like. I've heard lots of people talk about how they dislike Sonic Counter's serious story, and I don't understand why. Isn't it good for him to have an interesting story like SA2 where there was literal child murder and a character dealing with his own inner demons? Isn't that a lot more interesting and unique for a kids game franchise like Sonic to implement story elements like that? Granted, the writing for a good chunk of Sonic games isn't the best, but even so, I always appreciate Sega and Sonic Team for doing something different every time and exploring new plot elements and characters and even locations. I don't know, I just like story in games in general, to be honest. So, that was it! And if you've made it this far, then thank you for listening. It means a lot that you've taken the time to listen to my potentially very unpopular opinions. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments below, keeping it all positive of course, and I'll see you all in the next video.